This is the new must-have god roll of the season. It's called the Slammer Sword, and the perks that it gets are unbelievable. This is the first time we've ever seen a weapon like this before. It's a vortex frame that can roll with Eager Edge, which is really exciting and really cool. In today's video, we're going to break down all the perks that it can possibly roll with, giving you the idea of the exact god roll that you're looking for. Now keep in mind that this is a Nightfall weapon. I'm able to inspect this from Commander Zavala right now. I can go to Focus Decoding and see it. But unfortunately, it's not the weekly featured Nightfall weapon this week, so in future weeks, it will be available and you'll be able to grind out that god roll. Of course, you can also get the regular one from doing the Nightfalls that are less than Grandmasters, but if you do a Grandmaster, it's a guaranteed adept drop, and that's definitely going to be what you want to go for. So let's go a quick breakdown of all the different perks it has on it. First up, we've got the origin traits. So we got Vanguard's Vindication, which is final blows with this weapon grant a small amount of health. So if you are to use this to kill any adds or at all, you'll get a little bit. I think it's 7 HP, or weapon kills restore 10 HP actually. And then we have Stunning Recovery, which is stunning a champion, partially refills the magazine, triggers health regeneration, and improves recovery for short duration. So you could use either origin trait. I don't really see either one being extremely strong for its utility. I mean, obviously it's going to be an Eager sword that you fly around with using Eager, and then also do a ton of boss damage due to it being a vortex frame. It's going to be that type that can do a lot of damage. Now we got a big damage perk here at the bottom, which is Bait and Switch, which is going to give 35% increased damage for 10 seconds. That's going to be the go-to perk for the god roll on this, but there are some other interesting perks here as well. We do have Cold Steel, which is powered sword hits apply slow stacks for 4.25 seconds, and light attacks apply 40 and heavy attacks apply 60, which could be kind of interesting, especially with it being a vortex frame. We'll have to see how Cold Steel feels on this weapon. Then we also have One for All. Now obviously you'd have to hit 3 separate targets with the sword, which ordinarily would be kind of difficult, but I guess vortex frame maybe not so much. But this will give you 35% increased damage for 10 seconds. Most of the time we're using these swords, we're using them for boss DPS, maybe single target DPS champions. So not necessarily the worst perk ever, but definitely I think that Bait and Switch is going to be the strongest. We also have Collective Action here. Collecting elemental pickups or throwing a strand tangle grants a stacking period of increased damage. Elemental pickups include Fire Sprites, Void Breaches, Stasis Shards, Ionic Traces, and Strand Tangles. So you could use that to your benefit, but it's not quite as strong as some of the other perks that are here right now. We have elemental pickups. Interactions grant 20% in PvP, 10%, so it's a 20% damage buff comparative to Bait and Switch, which is going to actually give you 35%, so understand the difference between this perk, 20% and 35% of that one. Then we also have Permeability, which is using your class ability changes this weapon's type to match your subclass until you stow the weapon, so you could use this to change it to a solar or void weapon, whatever you want. Not going to be the strongest perk in my opinion for this sword. Then we have Demo, which is going to give you a bunch of grenade energy, and yeah, it's going to reload it based on your activating your grenade ability. I'm not sure about reloading the sword, but next up we have Bait and Switch, of course, which is going to be the best one. I think this is the best perk in column, but I should mention Cold Steel could be interesting. Next up, we're going to go to the left-hand column. We got Attrition Orbs. All right, dealing sustained damage creates an orb of power. Now that actually does apply really well to a sword, especially if we're using it on a boss like Crota, for example. Crota will be getting sword slashed quite a bit with this sword when it is live in the game, especially because the weekly rotation right now is it's Solar Surge for the entirety of the season, but it rotates from Strand Surge to Stasis Surge, so it goes back and forth between those two throughout this season. So if you're trying to do Master Crota or Master Crota Challenge, a Stasis Sword would actually be just fine and actually work extremely well. So you could run around using Eager Edge on it like it has here, and also doing insane boss damage. In fact, this might even be so strong that it would probably be able to one-phase him in Master if you can actually proc it right. So that's actually pretty exciting to see. Very much looking forward to that. Next up we have Relentless Strikes, which is really good, and the perk we very often use when we're attacking Crota because it just gives you really good ammo economy. Landing 3 light attacks hits within a short time grants sword ammo. So if you're just, light swinging with this Relentless Strikes, you're getting a bunch of sword ammo. So that's typically what we're doing on Crota, is using a Relentless Strike surrounded sword on him, and it has really good ammo economy and good damage output. But on this sword specifically, the first ever Vortex frame to have Eager Edge, which is definitely the perk we got to go for with this because it's the first of its kind, and that's pretty exciting to see. Very cool, very cool. And then we have Pugilist here, which final blows of this weapon generate melee energy, and dealing melee damage briefly improves the weapon's handling. That's probably going to be one of the weaker perks in this left-hand column, if I'm being honest. And then we have Chain Reaction, which is each final blow with this weapon creates an elemental damage explosion. Now this is a perk you could use for ad clear if you wanted to. However, I don't really use swords too often for ad clear, but I guess this could be kind of fun and create a decent amount of explosions. And lastly, we have Thresh in the left-hand column. Killing combatants with this weapon generates a small amount of super energy. Not the most potent perk, so I wanted to go through all the perks in the left and right-hand column. Of course, we're going with Eager Edge and Bait and Switch. And then in the guard, it's important. We pretty much pick a lot of the same stuff here because the guards are very drastically different. This one gives 40% guard resistance, 40% guard endurance. This one gives 80% resistance and 0 endurance. This one gives 90 endurance and 0 resistance. And this one gives minus 10 charge rate, but a plus 62 resistance, or plus 72 resistance, plus 62 endurance. And then the best one that we use almost always is Swordmaster's Guard, which gives plus 10 to charge rate. And that charge rate is huge, and we'll definitely want to use Swordmaster's Guard for the god roll of this. And then we have Hungry Edge, which gives 4 capacity, 7 capacity, but we lose 2 impact, 2 impact for Honed Edge, and then we always go with Jagged Edge. We lose a little bit of ammo capacity, but we gain 4 more impact, which just means the sword does more damage, which is always what we want to do when we're targeting bosses with our heavy, and especially with the sword. Then we have Tempered Edge, which gives plus 1 impact and 2 capacity, so not as good, not as much impact. So Jagged Edge is part of the god roll, Swordmaster's Guard, Eager Edge, Bait and Switch, and then Origin Trait doesn't really matter too much. The Masterwork is just going to come with an impact, so it's going to be the same thing every time. It's a stasis heavy weapon. It's unlocked from Grandmasters this season. We don't know which Grandmaster it'll be, but whichever one it is, it'll definitely be worth grinding for because this is a new weapon and it's a god roll that's extremely enticing, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting the god roll of the Slammer. Let me know if you're as excited about this as I am, and let me know your thoughts about my god roll opinions if you agree or disagree with any of the perk selections that I've made. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.